Hi, my name is Blake Crozier. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'd like to talk to you today about websites in HTML. HTML is the foundation for websites, and it provides structure on which the websites are built. And what we want to do today is just introduce you with an overview of the concepts and also get some hands-on experience building a static web page on your local environment. So from there, you'll be able to build upon these foundational concepts and deepen your understanding of web development. So having a skill like this will open up doors academically and professionally. So acquiring these skills is very important and is also hopefully you'll see as fun and a creative endeavor. So let's get going. Here's a basic web page, and if we click anywhere on this web page, we can right click and say view page source. And when we view the page source, a new tab opens up and shows us the source code that is actually what the page is built from. So this is actually HTML that we're looking at. And you'll notice at the very top is a doc type HTML tag. Now this tag is the only tag that does not have a closing tag. And it's necessary for an HTML document to have this opening tag. Every other tag on this page has an opening tag and a closing tag. And in between those two are basically the content that you're hoping to display. So these tags provide structure for the page and help the browser to know where to put different pieces of content on the page. So for example, if you look at this title, new tab, closing tag, title, you see in the tab that we have open, this is the source code for this tab. It says new tab here. And so the code that actually tells the browser to write that new tab is contained within these two title elements. So there's many different elements that comprise a web page. You have a style element here. And the style element contains a different language called CSS. And CSS it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And it controls the actual styling of the page. So this is where, here in this little piece right here, it says for the page, we want the background color to be this hexadecimal color scheme. So if we were to actually Google this hexadecimal color scheme, we can Google that and it's going to say, let's say, there's lots of different tools online to look up different hexadecimal values for colors, but this is the same slate gray color that's used for this background. So it's just one example of how CSS actually renders what is displayed here in the browser. So how do you know what elements to use? Well, this is where this tool W3 Schools really comes in handy. And it's going to basically provide you a tutorial to learn all about these different elements. So from headers and attributes to paragraphs and tables and lists, all these different elements are going to build different functionality into the web page. So here in this website, you can actually build web pages. So this is one of the great aspects of this site, is that you can do it yourself and get some hands-on experience. So if we want, on this left side, this is the file, and on the right side is the browser. And so what we can do is change this element, this H1 element, the content, to say Happy New Year. And then when we run it, we can see that Happy New Year is now being displayed. So there's a lot more that you can do with this, but this is just a basic example to show how how these elements work, and how you can actually get some experience working with them. So that's available within this website, but I want to touch on a little bit deeper of a concept, which is this website. How did you get here? You got here by going to the URL, and the URL is short for Uniform Resource Locator. And because this website is hosted, and it has a domain name called www.w3schools.com. This is the domain name. It is, you're able to access it from your browser anywhere that you have an internet connection. And this particular page that we're looking at is a resource that has been pointed to by the Uniform Resource Locator. So what's happening here is the URL is a standardized way, it's a uniform way for websites to identify resources and locate them and deliver them to a browser. So the resource, in essence, is a file, and that file contains HTML. And you can see here that there is a location on the server where the W3 Schools domain points to. There's a directory called HTML, and then in that directory is a default.asp file. So don't worry about this not being HTML. Now, if we look at the page source of this page, we're going to see doc type HTML, and we're going to see a lot of links and headers and all different types of things. It's going to get more complicated, but in essence, this is still an HTML. It contains HTML, but is written in a more dynamic type of file called ASP. So what we want to do is actually build our own local web pages. So let's take a look at how to do that. I've created a document. This is just a document in a text editor called Sublime Text, and it is of HTML type. So I saved it as test.html, and when I saved it to my desktop. So I'm going to go over here and open it in Google Chrome. So when you right-click it, right-click the file, and then open in Google Chrome, it actually opens and renders the HTML in a readable way. So what you're seeing in the browser is actually just this HTML, but the browser knows not to print the H1 tag and the body tag. It knows how to interpret that HTML in a way that is readable for people. So it just shows us the content. And as you notice, the relative size of each of the content here is dependent upon the tag or the element that is associated with that content. So the content that is within the H2 tag is going to be a little smaller than that of the H1 tag, and so on and so forth. So this just demonstrates how different elements change change what is rendered in the web page itself. Let's take a look at some different elements that we can add to our page and add some features to it. And the HTML that we've added are the lists. And you have an unordered list here, and you can see UL is the element that you use to implement an unordered list, and then you have an OL tag, which is what the element is named for an ordered list. So then you have both of these elements have list items, LI tags, that you can add to them. So you've seen this a million times in web pages, but this is actually how those lists are created and displayed. So let's see what else we can find here. This is an example of what a link actually looks like. So by the way, when I'm adding anything to this HTML file, I have to save it before I can then reload it. And now that I've saved it and reloaded it, it's going to show me what the links look like because I just added that. So here we can see there is a link, and if we look closer, you have the content, which is what you read here. Visit w3schools.com, but then the tag itself, the element, the anchor element, has actually a part of it that points you to a domain. So when you click it, it actually takes you to w3schools.com. So that's actually how the link is created in the HTML. So let's also look at how to implement a table. So you declare the table tag, and you have the opening and the closing tag, and then you have these table rows. TR is what they're called. And within each table row, you either have a table header, a TH tag, and this is what identifies what each column is going to be. And then you have a table data tag, which is going to identify the data within the table. So let's take a look at that and reload the page. Oh, looks like, oh yeah, there it is. Just got to scroll down. So here you can see these are the table headers right here in age. And then the table data is what we've put in each row. So if we wanted to add something, we would just add more table data. And what we'll see in a different tutorial is how data is stored in databases, but that's going to be that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about now. So you might be thinking to yourself, this is not a very readable styling for this page. So this table looks a little hard to read. It's these the headers are kind of offset, and so let's look at what it would look like if we added some style to the HTML document. What we're doing here is adding the style element, the opening and ending style element, and then we're putting CSS inside that style element. So you can also find CSS in the W3 Schools tutorial. They have their own tutorial, and now you can see the change here that these headers are more in line with the data, and there's a border around them, and The background color has changed, and we can even take this background color of the Google website and pop it in here. And now when we render this page, it's the same color as that other one. But I think we all like the Titans blue, so I'm gonna go back to that. So this is just an example of how to build a local website. And if you look up here at the URL, you just see a path to this location where this file is stored. So you don't see a domain name because this is not hosted on the internet. It's just available to you on your local desktop. Now, if you were to trash this file or move it anywhere to a different location, when you try to reload it, it's not going to work. So you have to make sure that your file location is it's in the right location so that you're able to display the contents in a browser. So if we wanted to recreate that file, we would just save it with the same name, test.html, on the desktop, and we'd then be able to reload it. So this is just a really brief overview of some of the elements and capability of HTML and CSS. If you were to want to play around and gain experience, I would really highly recommend w3schools.com. You can learn about HTML, you can learn about CSS, which has a lot of information about how to beautify your web page, and beyond that, it will also teach you how to write more dynamic web pages, and you could then also implement a server-side scripting language to make use of a back-end database. And then it could teach you how to actually manipulate the data in the database by using SQL. So there's a vast amount of knowledge in here, and I would really encourage you to explore it and to get some hands-on experience and build your skill set, because it will set you up for future success. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and good luck. Take care.